Well, hello everyone. I thought we'd have a little bit of a chat ahead of what's going to be a really exciting Tri-Series final tomorrow. We've had 6 games so far, and we're going to review all those 6 games. We're going to run through some of the standout moments. Done a lot of prep for this, so I'm going to tell you everything we're doing. We're going to have a big preview of the final tomorrow, and then thanks to everyone who sent in their questions on Facebook, we're going to run through 10 or maybe even 12 of those questions. There were so many, it was difficult to narrow them down. So what have we seen thus far? Well, look, we've seen what's been a really impressive Dabur Honey Nepal T20I Triangular Series, particularly for the hosts, winning all 4 matches that they played. 3 of them really at a canter. They were the first 3. They restricted UAE to 140 for 7 in that first game. Karen KC leading the way, as he did throughout this tournament, the tournament's leading wicket taker with 10 wickets, before chasing it down comfortably enough. The captain, Rohit Powell, the leading run scorer, with 51 not out. I think that was his 4th T20I half century, winning by 7 wickets, Nepal. Then the very next day, Hong Kong it barely got off the plane on their way over. Long old journey from Hong Kong, isn't it? They haven't played much cricket of late on grass surfaces, is what their head coach Simon Willis and all of their backroom team have been very keen to explain to us, and they have got better and better throughout the series, as we saw in yesterday's game. They only could make 94. Yasin Murtaza, who's had a fantastic all-round series, top scored with the bat, and Asif Sheikh, who's had a good series too, he made 42 in the chase. Again, Karen KC was the star of the show, 4 for 15 for him, picking up that Maximax player of the match. We then had a day off and returned to the Mulpani cricket ground. We're right in the middle of Dashain here, which is a huge festival. It's hard to explain just how big and how popular it is. It runs for the best part of 2 weeks, 5 full days of public holidays. So given the amount of festival celebrations that have been going on, we've had some really healthy crowds up at the Mulpani. I think it will all change a little bit tomorrow up at the TU International Cricket Ground. I'm expecting it to be packed. Game 3, Nepal, well, they put on a show, didn't they? And that's actually getting ahead of myself. I'm going to get to one of those standout moments in a second. Sensational ball striking from Kushal Malla. He was dropped in the 40s, but he went on to make 92 of 41 deliveries, smashed the ball absolutely everywhere. When he gets going, I don't think I've ever seen a cricketer in associate cricket, maybe with the exception of someone like Mohammad Waseem actually, or Paul Sterling back when he was playing associate cricket before Ireland became a test nation. Mohammad Shahzad too, hit the ball with such clarity, such quality and such brilliance, and also a consistency. I think it was 9 sixes he hit. We lost 5 or 6 balls down the hill, and it was actually a world record partnership that he put on for the 5th wicket with Dipender Singh Airee, who's had a marvellous series as well. They put on 145 to rescue Nepal from a bit of trouble to post 213. Hong Kong, they never got in the chase, only making 134. Then the battle of the 2 neutral sides was a pretty interesting one, although UAE were always pretty comfortable with Mohammad Waseem smashing a quick 40 at the start. Hong Kong only posted 149. You could just see some signs, though, they were starting to warm up. Babar Hayat in particular, who top scored in that innings with 66. Then we did have a day off. I think we had one more. We had 3 games in a row, 3 back-to-back days. Nepal came back into action. That was the day before the main Tika festival of Dashain, which it was the 24th this year. And UAE posted 164 for 7, and for much of that chase it looked like it was going to be good enough. Basil Hamid, who's been brilliant all series, made 45, so too did Varithia Aravind, but Basil Hamid's came off just 19 balls. And then Asif Sheikh anchored the chase. I think it was Rohit Powell who made a good contribution too again, but really until Dipender Singh Airee came in, another one of my standout moments of the series thus far. He smashed 40 off 15 balls, including a 6 from his very first delivery. Dipender Singh Airee has taken his batting just to another stratosphere altogether. In this last 2 to 3 months, it feels like we saw that record he broke at the Asia Games. It will never be broken. 9 balls to smash 50. So that will never be broken. And I think he's taken his game up to a point now where we're not just going to see him appearing in some of the smaller franchise leagues like a GT20 in Canada. The words got out about Dipender Singh Airee, the full 3-dimensional cricketer. Get him into your franchise teams if you're scouting the very best of the associate players. Nepal got home by 5 wickets to stay perfect, 4 from 4. And then we had the day off for Tika Dashain, which was a gorgeous, really spiritual experience. I really enjoyed being here in Nepal for it. I took a long walk around the Gokarna Forest Resort and explored a few temples, and it was just a really special day to enjoy here. Kind of for Westerners who are watching this who don't know what Dashain is, I suppose the best way to describe it would be like a Western Christmas. Very big, very family orientated time of the year. and it goes on for a little bit longer than Christmas, I suppose. That's the only difference. But yeah, beautiful festival and lovely to be here for it. Final day of the group stages. Hong Kong finally got their act into gear. 212 for 3 they posted. Martin Coetzee, delighted for him. We spoke to him after the match on the Himalaya TV HD segment 2. And I felt for him his first 3 innings. I think it was 2-0 and 1 he made. And he got a life too, but didn't he make use of it? He was dropped on 24. After that, he looked really good. Has taken a little while to get used to the pace of the wickets here, and also the adjustment to associate cricket. Has that pedigree in South African first class cricket. 86 off 55 for him, but the star of the show, in fact the player of the match, was Dabur Hyatt. 60 off 20. Wherever the UAE bowled at him, the ball was just being deposited out of the Mopani ground. Probably not UAE's best bowling performance, in fact not their best batting performance either. And they had the youngster Nilanj Keshwani and Basil Hamid again to thank for getting them past that nominal target of 134 to get their net run rate above Hong Kong's, to ensure that we're all set up for that grand finale tomorrow. A few other special moments throughout the tournament. We've spoken about most of them, but I really think Basil Hamid for the UAE has stood up in a big way, shown his class, his versatility, his experience, not with the ball much. I think he's only bowled once. But with the bat, he's added that solidity to the middle order. I think Nilanj Keshwani's been a fantastic find for UAE as well, and with Ayan Khan returning to the team, that will make a really formidable spin duo in the absence of Rohan Mustafa, who seems to be out of favour right now. For Hong Kong, certainly the highlights were that innings from Coetzee. Dabur Hyatt's batting throughout. He's actually the tournament's leading run scorer, although he might not be at the end of tomorrow. And then also Yassine Mirtatza. If you haven't seen Yassine Mirtatza bowl, it's a joy to watch. He's a left arm spinner with a throwback to the olden days. He gets it up and down very, very quickly. He's got a beautiful action. He is a classical flight bowler, and he's got, I think, 70 or 80 first class matches in his native Pakistan, where he's originally from, before moving to Hong Kong. He's brilliant to watch. I'd highly recommend keeping an eye on him throughout the upcoming T20 World Cup qualifier. What about for Nepal? Well, Kushal Malla, I just adore watching him. Likewise with Dipender Singh Airi, and when those two combined for that partnership, I wasn't on call for much of it actually, but I just really enjoyed walking around the ground and watching just how brilliant those two are. Karan KC and Sampal Kami and Avanesh Bahar, in fact all of the 3 Nepal seamers have been excellent, been really impressed with them. They'd been called into question over much of this year, particularly in ODIs with their death bowling, although Bahar only has come in for the T20 version. He's got past that landmark of 50 T20I wickets, and I think the 3 of them are the 3 tournament's leading wicket takers. So it sets it all up perfectly for tomorrow. It's going to be a grand finale. It's going to be a hell of an occasion yet again at my favourite ground, the TU International Cricket Ground, the spiritual home of Nepali cricket. We're going to head back there tomorrow. I do think there's still a few tickets left available, but if you're watching this, it's going to be Thursday evening by the time it gets up. It's actually already. Just watched England lose again at the ODI Cricket World Cup. I'm not too sure what's going on with that England team right now. Can already see above me Nasser Hussain conducting the post-mortem on Star Sports. But yeah, get your tickets now quickly on IME Pay. Get them in advance. It's going to be a marvellous occasion. It'll be live on Himalaya HD TV if you can't get into the Kathmandu Valley to enjoy it. My preview, well, I think Nepal are favourites, being honest, but I think at the same time, particularly with the returning Ayan Afzal Khan, the young 17-year-old left-arm spinner who was playing in that ACC Premier Cup out in Malaysia, and possibly Aryan Sharma to come in at the top of the order, although it'd be interesting to see if he does get the left-hander out of the team or not. The head-to-head record, because of the 2 wins Nepal have had here in T20I cricket, is Nepal 4, UAE 3. But listen to a few of these numbers. Nepal have now played 64 T20Is since their first ones back in 2014 was their very first at the World Cup, but then since getting permanent status in 2018-2019, they've won 39 of them, lost 24. But of the last 22 matches, that's over the last year and a half or so, they've won 18 and only lost 4. And even more remarkably here on home soil, they've played 17, they've only ever lost 1, and that was to a Bas de Leede inspired Netherlands back in 2021, a triangular series they went on to win. That was part of the group stages. So in terms of form, there would have been a few questions with the weight of ODI and 50 over cricket that Nepal have played in recent times. Could they convert that form over to 20 over cricket? It looks like the answer is a very resounding yes. I make them favourites. For UAE, their record, played 85, won 41, lost 43, and a washout as well. But their last 22, they've won 8 and lost 14, including not only beating New Zealand, the first time beating the Test Nation, but losses to Bahrain, Oman, Hong Kong and Kuwait. And that, for me, sums up their inconsistency. They've got absolute match winners in that side, particularly Mohammad Wasim, the highest ranked batter in associate cricket in the T20I rankings. If he gets going, he can win any game, including a game against New Zealand, as we saw in Dubai. What I think that the UAE would like to see is a few more runs from Asif Khan at number 4. He's been brilliant in ODI cricket in the last 18 months or so. I think by his own admission hasn't quite worked out how to go about it yet in T20 cricket. T20I cricket, that is he supposed to go from ball 1, but he's a class act and tomorrow might be his day. Remember, that's the ground he made a 41 ball century at in Cricket World Cup League 2. Okay, time to get to your questions now. I'm going to have to change into my little saved drafts for this. Yeah, here they are. Okay, I've actually got 12 of them. We're going to run through a dozen. We've got about 10 minutes in, 10 minutes to go. Can I get through these 12 questions in 10 minutes? You're going to do about a minute each. Thanks so much for sending them in. And before I get going, a massive, huge thanks for the scale of welcome I've received coming back to Nepal and just generally going around the associate world. I've just come from Bermuda, head down onto Namibia after this, and yeah, look, sensationally kind people are always to me. So I'll keep getting around the world and keep getting to these events as long as you guys continue to support me. So really, really appreciate it. So the first question comes from Pasapi Srijan, who says, Andrew, what big a difference can Nepal get by constantly having a bowler who could bowl at 90 miles an hour consistently? And he also wants to know, is there a big difference if they can swing it both ways at that speed? Yeah, look, I think it's pretty well advertised, maybe the paucity or the lack of pace that Nepal have in their bowling lineup. But as we've seen in this series, particularly against the leading associates, they do still have really skillful seam bowlers. Karan KC, Sampal Kami and Avinash Bahara have shown that in this tournament. And I think they're getting better, particularly KC and Kami. They seem to be getting better with age. Somehow they're fitter and stronger than they've ever been. And they really enjoy bouncing off each other. They're very different kinds of bowlers. Karan KC shapes the ball away and bowls quite a heavy ball with those broad shoulders. Kami's shorter and he's very, very skiddy and very fast. He's actually quicker than you'd think, particularly when you watch him live. They're not going to be able to grow on trees a 95 mile an hour bowler. I know Nepal would love one. I have heard a few talks about, are they going to look at maybe a fast bowling kind of tryout camp or something over the coming months here in Nepal. That would be a great idea, and who knows, maybe a little bit like they unearthed the leg spinning star in Sandeep Lamachani up in a more rural area of the country. Maybe they'd be the same with the fast bowlers. Gulshan Jah has been getting it through pretty quickly in the series too. They'd love to get guys up with a bit more pace, but it's, you know, the $1 million question in cricket, not easy to get. Next question, Ayush Pandey. He says, Andrew, both Sandeep and Lalit Rajbanshi, that is, and Sandeep Lamachani are set to play the T20 World Cup qualifiers, but only one spinner will be in the playing 11. Which one do you think it will be? Well, I'm going to disagree with your question because it was a bit of a leading one. I would pick both of them. I think for me, they're two of Nepal's best bowlers, full stop. And something that I was a little bit critical of in the Asia Cup was I thought they kind of went overly reliant on seam against India and Pakistan at points, and I'd like to see them play to their strengths more. Their strength for me, despite the brilliance of the three boys who've done so well in this tournament, is still spin bowling. So I would absolutely 100%, provided that Lalit Rajbanshi has recovered from that collarbone injury, very nasty one. He's recovered very quickly, such a brave guy. But I would very much stick with both of them, and that's a no-brainer for me, particularly with Sandeep coming back in. Next question. Ashutosh Soni says, since we see Nepal versus UAE in the final of almost every ICC qualifier or ACC event, do you think Nepal v UAE rivalry is becoming on par with India versus Pakistan? Not quite at the India-Pakistan levels, but certainly within our wonderful associate cricketing world, absolutely. It's the associate El Clasico, I keep calling it that. There's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek whilst I do that, but yeah, look, I love watching these two sides. There's a little bit of niggle between them. We spoke to Asif Khan, I think it was, the other day in one of the post-match shows. I was asking him about, in fact, it was Zahor Khan. It wasn't Asif Khan. It was when he was player of the match. I said, you know, is he looking forward to a potential final against Nepal? And he said, inshallah, we will win. Like, they're quite good friends off the pitch, many of the players, because they would go around similar circles. But on the pitch, there's a real intense rivalry. And yeah, I think if anything in this format, I think Nepal might have pulled away in the ODI format a little bit. But in T20 cricket, if anything, with UAE's X-Factor players, they could certainly pull off an upset tomorrow. Maybe not just tomorrow, maybe in the T20 World Cup qualifiers and beat Nepal again. Okay, hope that answers that one. Balaraj Bishwakarma is the next question. He says, what do I think about Kushal Bertel's performances thus far in the series? Yeah, look, he's battled. It happens in T20 cricket, particularly as an opener. I think it's something that people forget as an opener in T20I cricket. It's very difficult. His scores so far in the series, 14, 8, 2 and 1, diminishing returns there. I'd expect Nepal to stick with him 100%, and I would encourage that to be the case. Himself and Asif Sheikh have formed a brilliant opening partnership. You've got to remember a couple of things. One, it was mainly 11 a.m. starts in that series we just played. Two, in the first two games, there was definitely a bit of movement about early. And yeah, three, I think you tend to have feast or famine as an opener, particularly in T20I cricket. And that's no bad thing. Okay, next question. Wishing Kushal Bertel all the best as always too. Bikram Kanel, I very much like his new he's got the kind of bandana thing going on, the Butwell boss we were calling him. Bikram Kanel says, can I highlight any specific players or matchups that could be game changers in tomorrow's final? Yeah, good question. I've made notes of three. I think Kushal Malla, the left-handed batter, against Keshwani, the left-arm spinner, and maybe the returning Ayan Afzal Khan. That's going to be fascinating. So how will his natural inclination to go after left-arm spin impact that game? If Keswani or Khan could get him out quickly, that will swing the game heavily towards UAE. If he gets going, like we've seen UAE almost refuse to bowl left-arm spin to both Kushal Malla and also Gulshan Jah, so that'll be interesting to see. That's the first one. Second one will be Junaid Siddique's return. He didn't play in either of the two UAE versus Nepal games, particularly against the openers, Kushal Bertel and Asif Sheikh. Junaid Siddique is about as quick as they come around the associate circuit, definitely up north of 135, can get it up above 140 kilometres an hour, outstanding bowler. And then the final matchup I'd be interested in is, well, it's a trio of bowlers. It's Sampal Kami, Karen Casey or Lalit Rajbanshi, depending upon who opens the bowling, against Mohammad Wasim. For me, if you don't get Mohammad Wasim early, the game can go horribly awry very, very quickly. So again, that will have a massive impact. They'd be the three to keep the eye on tomorrow. Bikram. Okay, next one, Roshan Magar. Question 6. Who will be the man of the series and win that Bajaj Pulsar bike? Good question. I don't know. I think a lot will depend upon tomorrow. I think it'd be highly unlikely a Hong Kong player would win it, despite Babar Hyatt's excellence and the fact he's a leading run scorer. So if Nepal win tomorrow and win the final, it's probably between Dipender Singh Airi, Rohit Paudel and Karen KC, although Sampal Kami maybe could come into the mix with a good performance. And then for UAE, it's really Mohammad Wasim and Basil Hamid who've been the standout performers thus far. Don't think any of their bowlers have quite shown enough. So yeah, if I had to guess, probably go on Dipender Singh Airi, but who knows, Kushal Malla could get 100 in the final, that could swing it his way. Question 7, Sujan Adhikari says, what's the main reason behind my love for Nepali cricket? Great question. It's not just Nepali cricket I love, guys. I love cricket, full stop. And I have a particular love and grow for the associate game. I think the men and women and boys and girls who play associate cricket probably don't get the scale of exposure and adoration and coverage that they deserve. That's changed a lot in the last 4 years, and particularly with the ICC's decision to broadcast all the World Cup qualifying events for both 50 over and T20 cricket for men and women, and then for the ACC to cover basically every ball of everything the Asian Cricket Council are doing. That's been really game changing. So that's changing, and I've loved being a big part of that. And traveling around the world covering these guys, and then for Nepal itself, it's really hard to explain how special it is here. I first came here, it's nearly 6 years ago now, it's over 5 years ago, and every time I've come, I adore it here. The people are so special, so special, so kind, so humble, so sweet, so innocent, and so full of joy, and their love for cricket and their passion for cricket is something I share hugely. And I guess that's why I love Nepali cricket so much. And then you add into the mix the individuals, you know, I've got to know so well, particularly the way they play their cricket now. And we saw Asif Sheikh win the Spirit of Cricket Award last year. That's an award that's very close to my heart. I think that's the way the game should be played. I was so proud to see a Nepali player win that. And the way that now they conduct themselves under Monty Desai as a new head coach and Rohit Paudel, who's such an impressive young leader. I just absolutely love it here. And I really hope that I keep getting invited back, because I'll always come back in whatever circumstances. I just love it here, and it's a very genuine love. I love spending time in the city. I love Kathmandu. I love all the districts, getting over to Lalitpur as well. So yeah, really lucky to be here. Sorry, probably got on too long on that question. Okay. Number 8, Ganga Prasad Busal says, Sampal Kami as a number 3 was a complete flop in the series. Should it be continued in the final? Well, nice to hear the strong opinion, Ganga. Look, I understand what you're saying. I get he's struggled. I didn't see that happening. I didn't see it coming. It didn't happen in the first game. I think the rationale behind it was they don't want to expose Kushal Malla too early if the openers lose a wicket early. So I think if the openers had stayed together a bit longer in this series, Kushal Malla still would have come in at 3. So it was almost like a parachute, an emergency number 3. For me, I think it makes sense maybe in the 50 over game, but I don't think Sampal maybe scores quickly enough for it to be in the T20 game. So all I would do in this instance is probably push Rohit Paudel up 1 and get him to bat 3 in the T20 game, because he's so versatile. He can play in any scenario. That's probably the way I would go, and leave Sampal Kami to do his natural role at number 8 or number 9 or wherever he's going to come in. Sushant Mahat, next question. This is a good one. How many plates of Momo have you had during this trip? I'm going to have to count it up. I think I've been here 9 days now. I'm going to say 6. I reckon 6. I think I've had 5 chicken kote Momo. I think I've had 1 veg Momo. I think that's and that was a boiled one because they didn't have the kote that day. Yeah, I think I'm 6, could be wrong. There'll definitely be more throughout this series. Every time I come here, Paul Sterling and Kevin O'Brien, my 2 great pals, message me saying, have you had some momos yet? Because they still talk about them. Rubil Prajapati, question 10. How confident will Nepal be ahead of the World Cup qualifiers if they win the final of the Dabur Tri-Series tomorrow? Good question. I think they're going to be full of confidence whatever happens tomorrow. The format of that T20 World Cup qualifier is something I'll talk about in a second, because it's involved in the next question. It's pretty cutthroat, and really you don't have much time to go wrong in a campaign, and the prize is just massive. So I think they'll be full of confidence. I think that stat that I shared earlier, which is 16 or 17 games they've played here of T20I cricket in Nepal, and they've only lost 1. That's a really good stat to have. And the next question relates to that from Pujam Bista, which says, what are my thoughts on Nepal's chances of playing in the T20 World Cup next year for the first time in 10 years, especially given the qualifiers are here in Kathmandu? Really strong, but the thing I would temper those expectations with are the fact that we're looking at a format which is 2 groups of 4. So Nepal have a group with Oman, who are a very good side, and then Malaysia, who are improving hugely, and Singapore, who probably underperformed a bit of late. So those 4 are in one group, and then in the other group you've got UAE with Hong Kong, who'll obviously know each other pretty well from this series just gone by, and then 2 absolute X-Factor teams, Bahrain and Kuwait, who can beat anyone on their day, as we've seen before. I believe Herschel Gibbs is going to be continuing in that coaching role with Kuwait too. So from there, the top 2 in each group go through, and first in Group A plays second in Group B, and then vice versa. So really, that's going to be a very difficult one to call. I'm not sure who's going to get through. It all comes down to that semi-final. Okay, final question from Sunil Thapa. He says, what do I think about the upcoming schedules of Nepal? Should it keep playing against other associates, or should it manage to fight with some big teams? I'd love to see Test Nations come here to Kathmandu and start to play some games here, and I think it's a matter of time. So stick with everyone involved in CAN. Fantastic to see Paris Kadka now come in as the secretary of CAN, and alongside the president, Chatur Bahadur Chand, and everyone involved in the Cricket Association of Nepal. There's no doubt they're trying their best. So look, that's going to wrap it up. That's all 12 questions. I want to thank you so much for watching. Do me a quick favor, if you see this on YouTube, press subscribe. I'm going to try and build things up there and do more and more coverage of the associate game going forward. And crucially, I'll see you there tomorrow. Really looking forward to it. Come and say hello, and I'll see you there. Okay, namaste from me. Best of luck tomorrow.